The text message from my mother-in-law Yolanda felt like a slap across the face. We won't be attending Poppy's birthday party. I hope you understand that these celebrations are different for girls. I'm Summer, and at that moment, I wanted to throw my phone through our kitchen window. Instead, I gripped the counter until my knuckles turned white, trying to process how anyone could be so cruel to a 6-year-old child. Mommy, is Abuela coming to my party? Poppy's voice startled me. She stood in the doorway, clutching her favorite stuffed elephant, her dark curls still messy from her afternoon nap. Honey, The words caught in my throat. How do you tell your daughter that her grandmother thinks she's less worthy of celebration because she wasn't born a boy? The front door opened, and Caleb walked in, loosening his tie. One look at my face, and he knew something was wrong. What happened? I thrust my phone at him. Your mother happened. Again. His eyes scanned the message, and his face darkened. I'll call her. Don't bother, I said, watching Poppy retreat to the living room. This isn't the first time, and it won't be the last. Remember Christmas? When they gave your brother's sons those expensive gaming consoles while Poppy got a coloring book? Summer, they're old-fashioned, but old-fashioned? I laughed bitterly. They attended your nephew's birthday last month. Threw him a party that looked like a mini carnival. But our daughter? She's not worth their time? Caleb ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I'd seen countless times when he was stuck between his wife and his family. Let me talk to them. Maybe if I explain... Explain what? I lowered my voice, conscious of Poppy in the next room. That their granddaughter deserves love? That she notices every time they slight her? That she asked me last week why Abuela hugs her cousins more than her? The pain in Caleb's eyes matched mine, but I needed more than pain. I needed action. I'm done, I declared. I'm done watching our daughter shrink herself to fit into their narrow view of what matters. This birthday party? It's going to be something they'll regret missing. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Prince, Caleb's brother. Mom told me about the party. Try to see it from their perspective. Girls don't carry on the family name. Perspective? I shoved the phone in Caleb's face. Your brother's perspective can go straight to hell. Caleb reached for me, but I stepped back. I need you to choose, Caleb. Right now. Are you with your daughter or are you with them? That's not fair, he protested. They're my family. And what are we? Before he could answer, Poppy appeared again, this time holding her birthday invitation. Mommy, can I show you my drawing for the party? I forced a smile. Of course, baby. She climbed onto a kitchen stool, spreading out her artwork, a colorful circus tent with dancing animals. See? There's going to be a lion and elephants and... She pointed to each figure with pride. Looking at her excitement, something shifted inside me. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about showing my daughter that her worth wasn't determined by anyone else's prejudices. I picked up my phone and dialed Angela, my best friend. Hey, remember that event planning company you worked with last summer? The one that did that celebrity kids party? I need their number. Summer? Angela's voice was concerned. What are you planning? Something big. Something that will make the Salazars realize exactly what they're missing out on. I watched Poppy continue coloring, humming to herself. They want to skip her party? Fine, but I'm going to make it the kind of party people talk about for years. I'm in, Angela said without hesitation. What do you need? Caleb was watching me, his expression a mix of worry and curiosity. I met his gaze head on. I need you to decide where you stand, I told him. Because this party isn't just a birthday celebration anymore. It's a statement. He looked at Poppy, then back at me, and finally nodded. I'm with you. Both of you. Always. Good, I said, already making mental notes. Because when I'm done, your family won't be boycotting our daughter's party. They'll be begging for an invitation. And in that moment, watching my daughter draw her dream party while my husband finally took a stand, I knew this wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice, about love, and about showing the world, especially the Salazars, that every child deserves to be celebrated regardless of their gender. This is insane, Summer, my mother Adeline said, but her eyes sparkled with excitement as she looked over the party plans spread across her dining room table. A full circus theme with professional performers? Too much? I asked, watching my father Frank write out another check. Not enough, he replied, sliding the check toward me. No one messes with my granddaughter. I stared at the amount. Dad, this is... Don't you dare say it's too much. He cut me off. I've been saving for something special, and this is it. Besides, your mother and I have some connections that might help. Angela burst through the front door, her arms full of sample fabrics and color swatches. You won't believe who just RSVP'd. Marcel Price's assistant called. You know, the media mogul? He's bringing his twins. My jaw dropped. Marcel Price owned half the children's entertainment networks in the country. How did he even hear about this? Remember my cousin who works at his company? Angela grinned. I might have mentioned that we're putting together the most magical children's party of the year. My phone buzzed. Caleb. The rental company confirmed the tent, he said. It's big enough for 200 people. 200? I squeaked. We invited 50. Trust me, Angela said, laying out photographs of aerial performers. With Marcel Price coming, you'll need the space. People are already calling, asking if they can attend. My mother grabbed her phone. I'm calling Catherine from the dance academy. Her students would be perfect for the opening number. Opening number? I felt slightly dizzy. Every great show needs an opening number, Dad said matter-of-factly. And this isn't just a party anymore, sweetheart. This is a statement. The front door opened again and Poppy ran in, fresh from her dance class. Mommy, Miss Rachel taught me a new trick for my routine. She twirled in place, her face glowing with excitement. I hadn't seen her this happy since before she started noticing her grandparents' rejection. Show us, Princess, Dad encouraged, clearing space in the living room. Poppy launched into a series of graceful movements, ending with a perfect split. We all applauded, and I noticed tears in my mother's eyes. That's it, Mom declared. We're adding a stage. Poppy needs to perform. Mom, she's 6. And talented, Angela interrupted. Summer, don't you see? This is perfect. Let her shine. Show everyone exactly what the Salazars are missing. My phone buzzed again. Prince this time. Mom's upset. She says you're turning this into a circus just to spite her. I showed the message to everyone. Dad snorted. She hasn't seen anything yet. The nerve, Mom muttered, already dialing another number. Hello, James. It's Adeline. Remember that favor you owe me? How do you feel about bringing your elephants to a birthday party? Real elephants? Poppy's eyes went wide. Really, really real ones? I watched my daughter's face light up and suddenly all my doubts vanished. Yes, baby. Real elephants. And that's just the beginning. Angela was now on her laptop, creating a social media event. We need a hashtag. Something catchy. How about Mopoply's Big Top? Dad suggested. Perfect, Angela typed furiously. And posted. Now we wait. Within minutes, her phone started pinging with notifications. Oh my God, she whispered. It's going viral. Local influencers are sharing it already. Caleb walked in, looking both excited and nervous. My brother just called. He's trying to convince Mom to reconsider attending. Too late, I said firmly. That ship has sailed. Actually, Mom interjected, let them stew. Let them watch as this becomes the event of the season. Let them realize what their prejudice cost them. Mommy, Poppy tugged at my sleeve. Can I invite Maria from dance class? And Sophie? And Lucas? Invite your whole class, sweetheart, Dad said. This is your day. As Poppy squealed with delight and ran to make a list of friends, I felt a surge of gratitude for my family. My real family. The ones who showed up, who supported us, who understood that love doesn't discriminate. The rental company needs a deposit by tomorrow, Caleb reminded me. I picked up Dad's check. Tell them it's done. And Caleb? Thank you for standing with us. He pulled me close. I should have done it sooner. You and Poppy are my world. Group hug, Angela declared, pulling everyone together. As we stood there, surrounded by party plans and love, I realized this wasn't just about teaching the Salazars a lesson anymore. This was about creating something magical, something unforgettable, for a little girl who deserved every bit of joy we could give her. And if it happened to become the most talked about children's party in recent memory, well, that would just be the cherry on top. The day before the party, our backyard had transformed into a wonderland. A massive red and white striped tent dominated the space, while workers strung twinkling lights through every tree. The smell of fresh popcorn wafted through the air as the concession stands were tested. Mrs. Price's assistant is on the phone again, Angela announced, rushing toward me with her tablet. They want to know if they can bring a camera crew. Apparently, Marcel is doing a segment on unique children's parties for his new network. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with a text from Yolanda. This excessive display is unnecessary. You're only hurting Poppy by spoiling her. Delete, Angela commanded, grabbing my phone. Focus on what matters. The camera crew? I need to ask Poppy, I said, heading inside where my daughter was practicing her routine with Mom. I stopped in the doorway, watching her twirl in her sparkly costume. She caught sight of me in the mirror and beamed. Mommy, Miss Rachel says I'm ready. Baby, how would you feel about being on TV tomorrow? Her eyes grew wide. Like a real star? Only if you want to, I assured her. It's your party. She launched herself into my arms. Yes. Can I show them my special dance? The one with the ribbon? Of course you can, Princess. I hugged her tight, then turned to Mom. What do you think? I think Yolanda's going to choke on her morning coffee when she sees her granddaughter on television. Mom replied with a wicked grin. A commotion outside drew our attention. Through the window, I saw James arriving with his elephants. Two gentle giants named Rose and Daisy. Poppy squealed and ran outside, where Dad was already waiting with his camera. Look who's here early to meet the birthday girl, James called out, helping Poppy offer a carrot to Rose. The elephant delicately took the treat as Poppy giggled. Photographers who'd been setting up their equipment started snapping pictures. Summer, Angela waved frantically from the tent. Marcel Price is here, a day early. My heart jumped as I saw a sleek black car pull up. A tall man in an impeccably tailored suit stepped out, followed by two children around Poppy's age. I hope you don't mind us dropping by today, Marcel said, extending his hand. My twins couldn't wait until tomorrow, and I wanted to see this set up for myself. Of course not, I managed, trying to sound calm. Poppy's just meeting the elephants if your children would like to join. Daddy, look. His daughter pointed at Poppy, who was now sitting on a decorated platform on Rose's back, James holding her securely. Can we try? Marcel watched thoughtfully as Poppy waved to everyone below, her face glowing with joy. Your daughter has quite a presence, he observed. Very natural in front of the cameras. She loves performing, I said proudly. She's prepared a special dance for tomorrow. Is that so? He turned to his assistant. Make sure we get that on camera, all of it. A familiar car drove slowly past the house, Prince's SUV. He didn't stop, but I knew he'd report back to Yolanda about the media presence and the elephants. Mrs. Price was wondering. Marcel's assistant approached. If Poppy might be interested in auditioning for our new children's program? It's about a little girl who runs away to join the circus. I nearly dropped my phone. I'd have to discuss it with my husband. Of course. Marcel nodded. No rush. Let's see how tomorrow goes first. As if on cue, Caleb's car pulled into the driveway. He stepped out, looking stunned at the transformation of our property. Is that Marcel Price? He whispered as he reached me. He wants Poppy to audition for a TV show, I whispered back. Caleb's eyes widened. What about my mother? What about her? I challenged. She made her choice. Summer. He took my hands. She's been calling all day, crying. Prince showed her the social media posts. She realizes she made a mistake. A mistake? I pulled away. She's been making mistakes since Poppy was born. Tomorrow isn't about her anymore. It's about our daughter. As if to emphasize my point, Poppy's laughter rang out across the yard. She was now teaching Marcel's twins her dance moves while the camera crew captured every moment. Look at her, I said to Caleb. Really look at her. She's happy, confident, shining. No one gets to dim that light. Not even your mother. He wrapped an arm around me, watching our daughter. You're right. And Summer? Thank you for fighting for her when I wasn't strong enough to. Better late than never. I smiled, leaning into him. Now, help me figure out where we're going to put the trapeze artists. They just called. They're bringing an extra performer. As the sun set behind our circus wonderland, I couldn't help but think that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above and creating something magical in spite of those who tried to hold you down. The morning of the party exploded with energy. Camera crews positioned themselves around the tent while acrobats warmed up on their equipment. The smell of cotton candy and fresh popcorn filled the air as vendors prepared their carts. Mommy, Poppy called from her room. My hair isn't right. I rushed upstairs to find her struggling with her costume's headpiece. The sparkly purple outfit we'd chosen made her look like a tiny circus princess. Here, baby, I said, adjusting the rhinestone tiara. Perfect. Will I remember all my steps? Her bottom lip trembled slightly. You'll be amazing, I assured her. And if you forget anything, just smile and keep going. That's what real performers do. A knock at the door revealed Angela, slightly breathless. You need to see this. She held up her phone, showing a local news station's live feed. There, parked a block away, was a line of cars, the Salazar family, watching the preparations from a distance. Let them watch, I said, turning back to Poppy. Ready to greet your guests, sweetheart? She nodded enthusiastically, previous nerves forgotten. We descended the stairs to find Marcel Price in our living room, discussing something with Caleb. There's our star. Marcel beamed at Poppy. My twins haven't stopped talking about you since yesterday. They're already outside with the elephants. The doorbell started ringing constantly as guests arrived. Children rushed past in excitement, parents gaped at the transformed backyard, and photographers captured every moment. Summer? Caleb pulled me aside. My mother just called. She's crying. Not now, I said firmly, watching Poppy greet her friends. This is Poppy's moment. The party kicked into high gear as professional performers began their acts. Trapeze artists soared overhead while jugglers weaved through the crowd. James gave elephant rides to delighted children, and face painters transformed little faces into exotic animals. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers. Please welcome our special birthday performer, Miss Poppy. The crowd gathered around the central stage as the music began. Poppy emerged from behind a sparkly curtain, her ribbon dancing through the air as she started her routine. Every move was perfect, every turn precise. The audience watched, transfixed, as this 6-year-old commanded the stage with natural grace. Remarkable, Marcel murmured beside me. She has that special something, that spark that can't be taught. As Poppy finished her performance with a perfect split, the crowd erupted in applause. Camera flashes went off like fireworks, and Marcel's crew captured everything. Summer, he turned to me. I'd like to offer Poppy a screen test next week. That routine just convinced me. She's exactly what we're looking for. Before I could respond, Angela rushed over. You need to see this. She led me to the entrance where Yolanda stood, tears streaming down her face. Behind her, Prince and several other family members waited awkwardly. Please, Yolanda whispered. Please let me see my granddaughter. Now you want to see her? I felt the anger rising. After you dismissed her? After you made her feel less than? I was wrong, she sobbed. Watching her perform just now, from down the street, I've been so foolish, so stuck in old ways. Please, Summer, let me make it right. That's not my decision, I said coldly. It's Poppy's. As if summoned, Poppy appeared beside me, still flushed from her performance. She stopped short when she saw Yolanda. Abuela? She said quietly. Mi amor. Yolanda fell to her knees. I'm so sorry. Your party, you... Everything is beautiful. Will you forgive your foolish grandmother? Poppy looked up at me, then back at Yolanda. With the wisdom that sometimes only children possess, she stepped forward and hugged her grandmother. You missed all my other parties, she said simply. Don't miss any more, okay? Yolanda broke down completely, holding Poppy close. Never again, mi amor. Never again. Marcel appeared at my elbow. Now that's good television, he said softly. Real emotion, real reconciliation. Summer, if you're willing, I'd like to develop a show around Poppy. Not just as a performer, but as this remarkable little girl who brings people together. I watched as Poppy led Yolanda by the hand to meet Marcel's twins, her natural warmth already melting years of prejudice. She does have a gift, I admitted, but any decisions about shows will need to wait until tomorrow. Today is just about celebrating. Of course, Marcel smiled, but do expect my call. As the party continued around us, with acrobats spinning overhead and music filling the air, I watched my daughter bridge the gap between old prejudices and new beginnings. She danced with her cousins, showed her grandmother her ribbon techniques, and glowed with the kind of happiness that only comes from being truly seen and valued. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's showing people exactly what they almost missed out on. 3 days after the party, our living room had become command central for what Angela jokingly called Operation Poppy Stardom. My coffee table disappeared under stacks of business cards, offers, and magazines featuring photos from the party. Look at this one, Angela said, holding up her phone. The video of Poppy's performance had gone viral, reaching millions of views. The comments are incredible. This little girl is going places. Most magical children's party ever. Where was my invitation? My phone buzzed. Yolanda again. Since the party, she'd called daily, trying to make amends. You should answer, Mom said, sorting through another pile of correspondence. She brought flowers to the house yesterday while you were out. I'm not ready, I admitted. It's too soon. The doorbell rang. Caleb opened it to find Marcel's assistant holding a thick envelope. The contract for Poppy's screen test, she explained. Mr. Price wants to fast-track this. He's never seen such organic audience response. As we reviewed the paperwork, Poppy burst through the door with Dad, returning from dance class. Miss Rachel says I'm ready for point shoes, she announced, twirling through the room. Slow down, princess. Dad laughed. You've got plenty of time for that. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Prince. Mom's a mess. She can't sleep. Please talk to her. Your brother-in-law? Angela asked. I nodded. You know, Mom said carefully, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to move forward. Before I could respond, Poppy climbed onto my lap. Mommy, can Abuela come to my dance class tomorrow? She called Miss Rachel and asked if she could watch. I stiffened. She did what? She's trying, Summer, Caleb said softly. She even called the studio to learn about proper dance attire for young girls. She wants to understand Poppy's world. The doorbell rang again. This time, it was Yolanda herself, clutching a pink gift bag. I know I should have called first, she said quickly before I could speak. But I found these while cleaning my attic. They belong to my grandmother. She pulled out a pair of antique silver hair combs, decorated with tiny dancers. She was a ballerina in Mexico City. I never told anyone because I was taught that performing wasn't respectable. I was wrong. So wrong. Poppy's eyes lit up at the combs. They're so pretty. They're for you, mi amor, Yolanda said. If your mother allows it. I looked at the combs, then at my daughter's hopeful face, and finally at Yolanda's tear-filled eyes. They're beautiful, I conceded. Thank you. There's more, Yolanda continued, pulling out old photographs. These are of my grandmother performing. I thought maybe they could inspire Poppy. The photos showed a striking young woman in classical ballet poses. Poppy grabbed them eagerly. Look, Mommy, she's doing my moves. Actually, Yolanda said hesitantly, I was hoping. Would it be possible for me to attend the screen test next week? I want to support Poppy properly this time. The room fell silent. Everyone watched me, waiting for my response. You heard her, I said finally. You heard us both. I know, Yolanda whispered. I will spend the rest of my life making up for that. Mommy, Poppy tugged at my sleeve. Remember what Miss Rachel says about second chances? I had to smile. That they're like learning a new dance move. You have to give them your full attention. Poppy nodded seriously. And you have to practice to get better. Angela snorted into her coffee. Out of the mouths of babes. Okay, I said, looking directly at Yolanda. You can come to the screen test. But this is Poppy's journey. No criticism, no old-fashioned ideas about what girls should or shouldn't do. I promise, Yolanda said fervently. I want to learn, to understand, to be the grandmother she deserves. As if to seal the deal, Poppy took the antique combs and held them out to Yolanda. Can you put these in my hair, Abuela? Like your grandmother wore them? The tender way Yolanda arranged the combs in Poppy's hair, explaining their history and sharing stories about her grandmother, the ballerina, made something shift in my heart. It wasn't forgiveness exactly, not yet, but it was a beginning. Look, Angela whispered, showing me her phone. She'd captured the moment between grandmother and granddaughter, the silver combs glinting in Poppy's dark curls. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people realize what they almost lost. I watched as Yolanda taught Poppy how to pose like her great-great-grandmother, their laughter filling the room, and realized that maybe, just maybe, this was better than any revenge I could have planned. The screen test studio buzzed with activity. Makeup artists fussed over Poppy while Marcel's team adjusted lights and cameras. In the waiting area, our entire family had assembled. Even Prince brought his sons, who now watched their cousin with undisguised admiration. She's so calm, Yolanda whispered, clutching her rosary. I'm more nervous than she is. That's our Poppy, Dad said proudly, born for the spotlight. Marcel strode in, reviewing notes on his tablet. All right, everyone. We're going to film 3 scenes. First, Poppy will perform her ribbon dance. Then we'll do a short dialogue scene, and finally, an improvised interaction with our current show's star, Tommy Turner. Tommy Turner? Poppy's cousins exclaimed. From the Magic Treehouse? On cue, a freckled boy about Poppy's age entered with his mother. He waved at Poppy, who gave a little wave back. Places, everyone, Marcel called. Family members can watch from the observation room. As we filed into the adjacent room with its large viewing window, Yolanda grabbed my arm. Summer, wait. There's something you should know. What is it? I've been taking dance classes, she admitted. Beginner's ballet. I want to understand Poppy's world better. Before I could respond, the music started. Poppy began her routine, but this time with something extra. She'd incorporated the story of her great-great-grandmother, the ballerina, into her movements. The antique combs sparkled in her hair as she danced. Extraordinary, Marcel murmured, scribbling notes. She's not just performing, she's telling a story. The ribbon dance flowed seamlessly into the dialogue scene, where Poppy read lines with a natural ease that made even the crew stop and watch. Now for the improv, Marcel announced. Tommy, join Poppy, please. Just play together naturally. Pretend you're meeting at a playground. What happened next left everyone speechless. Poppy and Tommy created an impromptu story about a magical circus where children could fly. Their interaction was so genuine, so engaging that Marcel didn't call cut for nearly 10 minutes. That's it, he exclaimed finally. That's exactly what we've been looking for. Summer, Caleb, can we talk contracts? As Marcel led us to his office, Angela rushed in with her phone. You need to see this. Someone leaked footage from the birthday party online. It's trending nationwide. The video showed Poppy's reconciliation with Yolanda, followed by her performance. The comments were overwhelming. This is the kind of representation we need. Finally, a young girl who shows that tradition and progress can coexist. When's her show starting? My daughters need this. Marcel's assistant burst in. Sir, Good Morning America wants to feature Poppy and her grandmother. They're calling it Breaking Barriers Through Dance, a story about bridging generational and cultural gaps. Perfect timing, Marcel smiled. Because I'm not just offering Poppy a role in our existing show. I want to create a new series, centered around her. A young girl who uses dance to bring her family's past and present together. Caleb squeezed my hand as Marcel continued. We'll call it Poppy's Grand Jeté. It's about family, tradition, and moving forward. Your daughter's story at the party? That's exactly what families across America need to see. What do you think? I asked Caleb. I think, he said slowly, that our daughter has a gift for healing hearts, even ones as stubborn as my family's. We returned to the studio to find Poppy teaching her cousins basic dance moves while Yolanda watched, beaming with pride. Before you decide, Yolanda approached us. I want you to know something. I've rented a studio space next to Poppy's dance school. I'm opening a Hispanic cultural center. Dance classes, storytelling, art. I want to preserve our traditions while celebrating our children's futures. Abuela, Poppy ran over. Did you see? Tommy and I made up a whole story. Can he come to your cultural center too? Of course, mi amor. Everyone is welcome. Marcel cleared his throat. So, shall we sign? The network wants to fast-track this project. I looked at my daughter, surrounded by family who had learned to love her for exactly who she was. At Yolanda, who had transformed her regret into action. At Caleb, who stood firmly by our side. Poppy, I called. How would you like to star in your own TV show? Her eyes widened. Can I dance in it? It's all about dance, tradition, and family. Marcel explained. Can Abuela tell stories about the bailarina? That's exactly what we want. Poppy looked at each of us, then did a perfect pirouette. Yes, please. As everyone celebrated around us, I caught Yolanda wiping away tears. Thank you, she whispered, for giving me a second chance to be part of something magical. Sometimes I realized the best endings aren't about getting even. They're about growing together. The theater buzzed with excitement for Poppy's first live performance as the star of Poppy's Grand Jeté. 3 months of filming had culminated in this moment, a special preview event combining scenes from the show with a live dance performance. 5 minutes, Angela called, adjusting Poppy's costume. The antique combs, now her signature accessory, gleamed under the stage lights. Yolanda rushed in, carrying a small box. Mi amor, look what I found in the Cultural Center's first donation drive. She opened it to reveal a delicate golden bracelet with tiny ballet shoes. It belonged to another dancer who wanted you to have it. It's beautiful, Abuela, Poppy gasped. Can I wear it tonight? As Yolanda fastened the bracelet, Marcel appeared. Full house, he announced. Every network executive, entertainment reporter, and social media influencer in the city is out there. Are you ready, Poppy? She nodded confidently, then turned to me. Mommy, will you and Daddy watch from backstage? Front row, baby, Caleb assured her, right between Abuela and Grandma Adeline. The orchestra began tuning up. Prince poked his head in, his sons trailing behind him. Break a leg, Poppy. The boys made you something. They presented her with a hand-drawn card covered in glitter. You're our favorite star, the youngest said shyly. Places, everyone, the stage manager called. I hugged Poppy tight. Remember what we always say? Shine bright and dance with my heart, she recited, then skipped to her position. The house lights dimmed. Marcel stepped onto the stage to introduce the show, explaining how a birthday party had sparked a movement celebrating family, tradition, and the arts. The screen above the stage lit up with the show's first episode. The audience laughed at Poppy's natural wit, gasped at her dance sequences, and fell silent during the emotional scenes where her character helped bridge generational divides. When the screening ended, the curtain rose to reveal Poppy center stage. The music began, a fusion of classical ballet and traditional Hispanic melodies that Yolanda had helped compose. Poppy's performance told the story of her great-great-grandmother, the ballerina, through dance. As she moved, images from the antique photographs were projected behind her, creating a dialogue between past and present. Halfway through, Yolanda rose from her seat and walked to the stage. This was the surprise we'd planned. Grandmother and granddaughter dancing together, mixing ballet with traditional Mexican dance steps Yolanda had learned. The audience erupted in applause as they finished. Poppy in her modern costume, Yolanda in traditional dress, embracing center stage. That's not all. Marcel's voice boomed through the speakers. Tonight, we're announcing the Poppy's Grand Jeté Foundation, providing dance and arts education to underserved communities. Caleb stood up. And the first cultural center opens next month, he announced, with programs celebrating all traditions, all families, all dreams. The applause was deafening. Reporters' cameras flashed as Poppy and Yolanda took their bows. But the real surprise came when Prince and his sons joined them on stage, followed by our entire extended family. This is what we're about, Caleb declared into the microphone. Not just entertainment, but transformation. Not just tradition, but growth. At the after-party, surrounded by industry executives and reporters, Poppy sat with her cousins, teaching them dance moves while still in her performance costume. Summer, Yolanda touched my arm. Look at this. She showed me her phone, a message from her sister in Mexico. I saw the live stream. I was wrong about girls carrying on traditions. Poppy has carried our family's story further than we ever imagined. Marcel clinked his glass for attention. The network has seen the response. We're not just picking up the show for a full season. We're launching a whole programming block about family traditions and modern dreams. And it all started with a little girl's birthday party. And a grandmother who learned to change? Yolanda added softly. Tommy Turner, who'd become Poppy's regular co-star, ran up with exciting news. Poppy, we're trending #1. All the kids at my school want to learn dance now. As camera crews captured the celebration, I watched my daughter move effortlessly between worlds, teaching her cousins ballet while learning traditional dances from Yolanda, sharing stories with reporters while keeping her young co-stars entertained. You know, Angela said, scrolling through social media reactions, this is way better than revenge. You didn't just prove them wrong, you helped them change. Poppy's laughter rang out as she danced with her grandfather, her new bracelet catching the light, the antique combs secure in her hair, a perfect blend of past and future. Ready for what comes next? Caleb asked, putting his arm around me. Looking at our transformed family, I smiled. As long as we dance through it together. The grand opening of the Cultural Center buzzed with energy as children rushed through the newly painted halls. Poppy led a group tour, proudly showing off the dance studios, art rooms, and the special heritage hall filled with photographs and stories from different families. And this, she announced, stopping at a prominent display, is my great-great-grandmother, the ballerina. The antique photos had been beautifully framed alongside the silver combs that started it all. Poppy! Tommy called from the main studio. The camera crew is ready for our demonstration. As the children gathered to watch, I felt Yolanda's hand slip into mine. I never imagined this, she whispered. Look at what she created. The center had become more than we'd dreamed, a place where tradition and progress danced together. In one room, Prince's sons took modern dance classes. In another, elderly community members taught traditional crafts to eager students. Summer. Angela rushed over with her tablet. The registration list for next semester is completely full. We have a waiting list of over 200 kids. Marcel emerged from his meeting with the network executives. It's official. We're franchising the Cultural Center concept nationwide. Poppy's Grand Jeté isn't just a show anymore. It's a movement. Mommy, Poppy called from the studio. Come quick. Abuela's going to show everyone her recital dance. I followed her voice to find Yolanda in her ballet practice clothes, ready to perform the routine she'd been practicing for months. The room fell silent as she began, her movements telling the story of her journey from rigid traditionalist to proud grandmother of a dancing star. Remember when she wouldn't even come to my birthday? Poppy whispered, watching her grandmother dance. Now she's braver than anyone. Caleb wrapped his arm around us both. Sometimes people just need the right motivation to change. The demonstration class began, with Poppy and Tommy leading children through basic steps. Parents watched from the observation window, including several who had once sided with Yolanda's old views. Mi amor, Yolanda called to Poppy after the class. Show them the special combination we created. Together, grandmother and granddaughter performed a dance that blended ballet with traditional Mexican steps. The sight of them moving in perfect harmony brought tears to more than a few eyes. This is what healing looks like, Mom said, squeezing my hand. Not just forgetting the past, but building something new from it. Dad, who'd been quietly documenting everything on his camera, showed me his latest shot. Poppy teaching Yolanda a pirouette while both wore identical grins. The network loves this angle, Marcel commented. The show's next season will focus on the cultural center and its impact on the community. Real stories, real transformations. Prince approached with his wife, both looking somewhat sheepish. We've been thinking, would you consider adding traditional music classes? The boys are interested in learning. Of course, Poppy exclaimed before anyone could respond. Everyone's welcome here. That's the whole point. As the day wound down, families lingered in the Heritage Hall, adding their own stories to the collection. Yolanda stood before her grandmother's photos, now joined by pictures from Poppy's show and the birthday party that started it all. I was so wrong, she said softly. I thought holding on to tradition meant resisting change. But look at this place. We're not losing our heritage, we're helping it grow. Poppy, still wearing her practice tutu, took her grandmother's hand. Abuela, can we add your ballet recital photo to the wall? You want to display that? Of course, it's part of our story now. As Yolanda and Poppy arranged the new photo, I caught sight of my reflection in the studio mirrors. The woman who had once plotted revenge had transformed too, just like everyone else. Ready to head home? Caleb asked, gathering Poppy's dance bags. Wait, Poppy called. One more thing. She ran to the center of the main studio and performed the split that had once dazzled her birthday party audience. But this time, Yolanda joined her on the floor, matching her pose perfectly. Look, Mommy, Abuela learned it. The room erupted in applause and laughter. Even Prince's boys attempted their own wobbly splits. You know what's better than revenge? I said to Angela as we watched the impromptu split competition unfold. What's that? Revolution. Because that's what we'd created. Not just a TV show or a cultural center, but a revolution of hearts. A place where the past and future could coexist, where tradition could evolve without being lost, and where a little girl's birthday party could change everything. Again, Poppy called out to her growing dance family. Everyone together this time. And as the room filled with joyful attempts at splits and pirouettes, I realized that sometimes the best endings aren't endings at all. They're beautiful new beginnings.